In this episode, we'll give you an update as to what we've been up to the last couple of months, stuck on the River Soar, dealing with floods, and also clearing up the aftermath of a fire with our stove. Enjoy the ride. Welcome to another episode of Floating Along. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Darren.
Navigating life on the water full-time in our 62-foot boat, Soraya. Come along for the ride as we share our adventures and misadventures with you on the UK inland waterways.
Well, hello everyone. We are back. I will apologise. I know we haven't put out that many videos recently. We'll explain in this video as to why. But we are currently in Loughborough, which is in the Midlands of the UK. We haven't got very far. Ratcliffe Lock on the River Soar should reopen today because we are mid-November 2024. Zoch or Zooch, however you want to pronounce it, Zooch Lock, just before Ratcliffe decided to have a dirty protest and break. So that's currently out of commission, so you can't even get through to the lock that's just been repaired. We headed down from Sileby down the River Soar to do that, and then promptly got hit with this other broken lock. So we're now in two minds whether to just sit it out, wait for Zoch or Zooch, and then get through Ratcliffe and up the Trent and Mersey, as well, as long as they don't start messing with the locks at the beginning of that, or we turn around again.
Yeah, just to put it into context, we've been playing ping pong between broken locks for 8 weeks now.
Yeah.
So we thought we were being clever and organised. So we checked the winter stoppages. So we knew that Ratcliffe Lock was closing for repairs for a couple of months on the 16th of September, wasn't it?
Yes.
So we made sure that we were through. And we're planning on heading south on the Soar and round the Oxford Canal and Braunston.
The naivety of it all.
Yes. So, then unprecedented for this time of year, according to the locals in the Sileby area, we got caught out by early flooding. So, which lasted about 3 weeks, didn't
Yes,
it,
it
on
did,
and
yeah.
off?
Yeah.
There was some separate footage, and there's a video about us spending the night in a lock for our own safety. I'll pop a link to that below. So we were stuck there for 3 weeks, and then further broken locks, unplanned stoppages, due to can't completely. It's not vandalism, but just things do break down. It's an old network, and the River Soar is unfortunately in the state that it's in.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of repairs, really.
Unfortunately, as well, the flood water brings with it a lot of detritus, a lot of rubbish, a lot of big chunks of broken and fallen trees, and some of those have managed to damage lock gates.
Yeah.
So they are unscheduled repairs. It's the nature of the way we live. It's just unfortunate. If we'd have known back in September not to try to get back through Ratcliffe, to go up that way through the river, and up towards Market Harbour and up Foxton Locks, etc. If we'd have stayed the other side of Ratcliffe, we wouldn't be having this conversation now.
No, so but it's one of those things. Nothing was, there were no planned stoppages. There was no indication that there was going to be any problems in that along that stretch. But we are where we are, literally. It's the nature of boat life.
It may become a flick a coin, toss a coin job to see which way we actually stick out.
Yes,
and go.
so we've phoned CRT today just to get an update on a couple of the locks, because there might be a very small window of opportunity that we could get through one lock before they start some further repairs. But anyway, we are now mid-November, so we've been playing ping pong for 8 weeks now, 8 or 9 weeks.
Yes, we haven't been idle.
No, we've been very productive, especially Mr. DeRosa here, so can't sit still for 5 minutes. But what we will do is we'll try and sort of share a bit of a stock take of what we've been up to for the last couple of months. Things like, you might have noticed I've had my hair cut. So
I've lost the pink beard for now.
I'll explain how do I go about getting a haircut when you're sort of not in one location, although we have been the same region. We talk
Nobody
about,
ever notices when I've had my hair cut.
oh, darling.
Only the fact that the shine gets more intense. That's probably the only time they notice.
What else will we talk about? So yeah, odd jobs around the house, around our home. So again, very productive, down to sort of stripping and
Hey,
the
rude.
the diesel reflex stove, which is
Yes.
working nicely now, and
Mm.
the friendly narrowboaters. Is that what it's called? Friendly narrowboat
The
group.
the Facebook group, the Friendly Narrowboat, or Friendly Narrowboaters. Do you know what? What a
Fantastic.
really nice group. They're not judgmental. Anything I've put on there and asked a query, no one's come back with any level of sarcasm. A few little light-hearted jokes, yes, but predominantly the advice that was given was spot on.
Yeah,
And I mean, the boating community, more or less as a whole, are great. I'll
yeah,
help out whenever I can.
yeah.
There is, I believe, there'll be a snippet within this vlog. I recently became quite unwell, uh, and he's still to a point now, still trying to get myself completely back on my feet. And we'd got friends in the boating community, and they just rallied around and took us under their wing and looked after us. And that was 24 hours before the floods hit as well, which is we
Mm.
really didn't need. Um,
So yeah,
but yeah, we managed.
Darren will has done a couple of short videos explaining how to get medical attention when you live this sort of I can't say it, nomadic lifestyle that we're leading. So what else have we been up to?
We'd lit the fire.
We have,
Central heating's on.
yes. So in fact, what we haven't told people about is the fire. So
Yes.
we can mention it briefly. I think we can talk about it now, can't we? Because it you weren't traumatized, but it was you've been quite anxious about it for a while, haven't you?
Um, yeah, I'm quite a procedural person, so I the nature of my former job, everything is very black and white and very numbered. Um, we decided back in the early autumn to test our reflex diesel stove.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Lockgate diesel stove. We decided to test it. We'd watched numerous YouTube videos. I'd looked at numerous forums online about the best way to do it. So we used methylated spirit. That's what we did.
That's what the engineer recommended
Yeah,
as well when we had it
we had it
serviced.
serviced.
He talked us through the lighting procedure. And Darren's a switched on cookie and quite a practical
We
person.
we lit it. It lit. We started to hear the initial popping of the ignition point. With the flash point of diesel is 50 degrees Celsius. And we started to hear that popping, and then a few minutes later, it went out. So we left it because it had gone out. The stove felt cold. The flue was cold. I put my hand inside down to the burn pot at the bottom, took the basket out, put my hand down, and everything felt cold. Didn't feel warm to the touch at all. It just felt cold. So I added 3 more capfuls of methylated spirit, which is still less than the 50 ml that I was recommended to use. I lit a tiny bit of kitchen roll paper, napkin paper. I lit one end of that and dropped it in. I was just going to drop the lid as I dropped it in, and boom, it went straight up, straight out the pot. Took the kitchen blind out in an instant. It melted that on contact, set light to the woodwork, the paintwork around the window frame, burnt through an oven glove.
Scorched the carpet or the rug.
We actually then had we had a backdraft, so we had a blowover. A ball of flames went across the living room, the boat ceiling, and dropped and come down onto the lounge rug, the saloon rug, which is a good 8 foot away from the diesel stove, and that's how far it jumped.
Yeah.
The
You were lucky. Had it gone,
mm,
it, that as Darren was stood in front of
it
it,
went up,
had it faced him, he'd have been a goner. No, I'm not being
and
melodramatic.
that's not why I lost the pink beard. So
So, but because it sort of went luckily to the side of him into the boat rather than to the length of the boat rather than across the boat, otherwise he'd have been. Yeah, it doesn't even bear thinking about. So literally smoke. You expelled the fire
Yeah,
extinguisher,
and
which makes
I
more
have to
mess than the
say,
fire.
a word on it, fire extinguishers. If you've got powder ones on your boat, if you are due to upgrade them, get rid of them. The mess they make and the effect on your breathing afterwards
Yeah,
from the powder is horrendous.
it affected you for a little while,
It
didn't
did.
it?
Now, also, our fire extinguisher that was next to the diesel stove was one of those ones that has its own wall bracket, but with the metal bracket that wraps around it that has a clip. Um, and the pin on the fire extinguisher also had a plastic cable tie around it with a little tag. I would strongly suggest that you undo that metal clip and you take the plastic tag off the pull, off the ring pull, because ours was right next to the fire. The flames set it alight, and I had to put my hand into that ring with molten burning plastic and pull the ring out to activate the fire extinguisher. So I would strongly recommend that you check that your fire extinguishers do not have any plastic like that near
Yeah,
them.
you were branded, weren't
I
you,
was
on your
branded,
hand?
yeah, it was near the there, but the state of the boat was my biggest fear.
Yeah, I mean the situation of the other location of the fire extinguisher compared to the fire. That's where it was when we inherited the boat.
Yeah,
The
and the
service
surveyor
and
passed it
yeah, the surveyor passed it. The engineer said no, that's perfectly fine. You need it next to
because
the
the fire
fire.
blanket's next to it as well.
Yeah, it was a scary moment.
Mm.
All sorts go through your head. I was obviously concerned for Darren, but trying to get the two dogs off the boat as well. So, opening as many doors and just basically, yeah, just trying to clear clear the area and make sure everybody
Yes,
was safe.
it took
But
an awful lot of cleaning up that powder,
it did,
boy, because it goes everywhere.
yes. So hours and hours, wasn't it? And
Mm.
we were still finding residual bits of powder and crevices of drawers and bits
Oh,
of.
I pulled the fridge out about 2 weeks back to have a good look to see what was actually behind it. There's a load of bloody
And
powder
this was
behind that.
probably 3 months ago that we
Yeah,
had the fire. So
yeah.
purchased a new blind, which actually was a relatively new blind in the first place, but Darren's obviously
Yes,
repainted.
everything's been repaired. Stove has all been cleaned out. All the air holes have been re-pricked through so it breathes. And now we actually use gel firelighters, which you can buy offline. And each brick we can make into three. They are more expensive than methylated spirit, but just the fact that the control you have over your initial preheat and
Yeah,
then burn, it's a game
it
changer.
just gives you so much more confidence in lighting it. I light it as well, and you just yeah,
Yeah, there's
it's
yeah.
a safer
I'm
way
done
of
with
lighting.
meths. Yeah, I'm done with. I'm not even drinking it anymore. Anyway, no, I'm not even drinking it anymore.
So yeah, so we won't going to go into that much detail, but we have, and hopefully it's just giving you an idea that even a switched on cooking like this, those situations do happen, but just be careful with your diesel stove. But it's getting colder now, so we are using it, especially in the evenings. Not necessarily been having it on during the day,
No, some days it's been off, hasn't it? In fact,
but
the majority of days.
we are forecast a cold week ahead, so I'm sure we'll be using that more and more. What else have we not been up to? Um, Before we left Salby, we took a week off. Both had a week's annual leave planned, but obviously couldn't travel anywhere. So we tried to sort of do days out. Um, and again, we did a lot of chilling, didn't we? Watching box
I
sets
mean,
and just.
I did take you down to the L Sands for the toilet cassettes.
Yes, that was a crappy day.
Yes.
Yes, Stonywell House. So where
Mm.
we were moored sort of near Salby, well, near Salby Mill, next to Salby Mill at the time. So there's Stonywell House, which I'll do as a separate video, but well worth a visit if you get the opportunity. Beautiful if you're into arts and crafts movement, because yeah, I'll explain that in a further video. But that was a nice day out, and it was literally the sign that autumn was coming because all the colours in the trees were
Mm.
beautiful. So yeah, so we've been to Stonywell House. It was also our wedding anniversary, wasn't it, dear?
It was.
So 8 years, cheeky. So yeah, we just sort of had a nice meal out, didn't we? And what else have we been up to?
having a narrowboat, no matter how old the boat is, I mean, Soraya's only 12 years old. She's only a baby, really. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
There's always something that needs a lick of paint, or for instance, we had some watermarks on our portholes. I know that's not a euphemism. They needed sanding down and 4 coats of varnish putting on, and it's just the jobs are just never ending. You can always find something to do. I mean, I can be often found vacuuming and mopping out the engine bay because I'm that kind of person. Um,
You find jobs sometimes as well, don't you? There's always something that needs doing, but there's always things that you will find because you're very proud of
well,
our
this
home.
is our home, and I tell you what, I've lived in different sorts of houses. I've lived in terraced houses. I've lived in detached. I've lived on farm properties. I've never known anywhere get so dusty as a narrowboat.
The smaller the dwelling, the more cleaning it takes.
And we don't even use the multi-fuel stove that's in the saloon, but I've never known anything get so dusty.
Mrs. Mop here.
Always cleaning it up.
So, ladies, I'm very lucky. So, well, and gents, but when I often go into the office, Darren will make sure that I come home to a beautifully clean, vacuumed and
It's
mopped.
only clean because I've had about 4 dancing girls in the night before in a wild party, so I've got to clean up.
Yes, dear.
Yes, and then I wake up.
So that's just hopefully just brought you sort of up to date with where we are. But I mean, literally geographically, where we are at the minute is just outside of Loughborough. Time of the Loughborough Town Fair.
Yes.
I mean, I knew Loughborough. I went to art college here in Loughborough 30 years ago. And it's probably more than 30 years ago, actually. Okay. And the town fair is huge. It really takes up as every square inch of the market. So, but worth a visit.
We have got some footage coming up.
So
So
yeah, so we'll include a little bit of that and a couple of little critters that we won. You know, any we spent a fortune not doing any rides.
what's this wee business?
He spent a fortune on yeah, just sort of
Cheeseburgers, loaded Biscoff donuts with Biscoff
ooh,
sauce, Biscoff biscuits, and Biscoff bits crumbled all over it. And then I had piri piri chips on the way home. So it was a colourful evening on the boat, shall we say?
yeah, yes, it was very colourful. But yes, we're taking William, your son, my
Yes.
stepson,
Last time I
at the weekend as
last time
well.
I took him to a fair. I come from a Yorkshire family, and my mother's pride and joy was her ability to spin waltzes at a great deal of speed, um, to the point where you're nearly passing out. And she taught me the skills and tricks, and I subjected my son to it at Skegness back in the summer, and I don't think he recovered for about
He
two
went
days.
green.
So there are waltzes there. There are other notoriously spinny rides. So I may see whether I can get him to pass out
Torture him
or at
again.
least vomit anyway.
Yes. Anyway,
It's a rite of passage,
yes, dear.
dear.
In terms of cruising, we yeah, it's not quite the
It's more shunting than cruising.
yeah, I mean, you're using the trolley, well, between us, and you do 99.9% of the water filling and the toilet emptying. But on the odd occasion that I have done it, we can do it with a trolley. There's some services nearby, which is handy in that respect, because obviously, because we're not cruising, we're not passing facilities.
Mm.
But in terms of the next week or so, we're just waiting for the next couple of days to see what happens with a couple of locks as to whether we go north or south. But yes, watch this
But
space.
I'd like to think by a week tomorrow, so basically by the end of November, we are on our way on a journey of discovery somewhere.
Yes,
There won't be new waters for us. There'll be new waters for you on this vlog, I'd like to think. But
new waters on with our
we
home.
will be moving certainly every few days rather than being sat still for a week or 2 weeks at a time. This is not what we got
No,
into
I mean
boating for.
we thought we'd be moving weekly, didn't
Yeah,
we? Because I still have to work. I'm now part time, so I work 3 days, and go into one of my offices. Um, around the country a couple of days a week. So I need to be near a train station, or Darren will drop me off using our vehicle. We've kept a van. So yeah, so we were planning weekly anyway, but we thought we'd be further afield than where we are now. But again, we've explained that with the floods and the broken locks. But we expected some of this, but didn't expect to be stranded for 8 weeks. We thought
Yeah.
snowed in over the winter, fair enough, a
Oh, yes,
couple of weeks.
please. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But we want to be off the river now. I
Yeah.
mean, we love the River Soar. We know her well enough to know that she can bite you up on the bum very quickly.
Yeah.
But
But we respect her as
yeah, but
well.
we just want to go on to different waters. We want to get back onto narrow locks, toy locks, as I
Toy
refer
locks.
them, rather than river locks. We just want to move.
Yeah, get rid of the weirs and the flow, unpredictable flows, because just because the water looks calm at times, don't you believe it? There's a whole world happening underneath the surface of the water. Hopefully that's just given you a flavour of where we are now. But actually, if any of you have any questions, then feel free to pop them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. So um, not quite warts and all, but feel free to ask the question, and we'll try and sort of be open and honest with you as much as we can. Yes, so we can include any responses to those questions in the next vlog. Anything else that we need to say?
Harry, one of our dogs, the
Hmm.
Westy Cross, who's
Who
only got one eye. Come on, Hazard. He's going to the
is
vets
this?
on Monday.
Look, who's this?
We've had a couple of little incidents where he doesn't appear to see what he's supposed to be doing. He's nearly jumped onto the front locker then rather than into the boat through the canopy because he just can't work out where it is. And we had an incident the other day where he went for a dog because it was stood still on the towpath and he walked up to it and didn't realize it was there. So we are just going to go and get his eye checks out, just his one remaining eye, just to see whether he's losing the sight in that eye, because that's going to be a concern for us if it is, just for
Well,
safety
yeah, one
reasons.
eye anyway, and if that's failing, it's just won't be a safe environment for him, will it?
So
So,
we'll let you know in the next one how we get on there. But so he's booked in on Monday. Very good local vet. Just had a chat with him, explained to him that we don't need to fully register because we're not local, and they fully understood. They said, "Yeah, by all means, bring him in. We'll have a look in his eye."
so that reminds me as well. I get being a woman of a certain age, menopausal, prescriptions. So I have a monthly HRT prescription. Our GP, where we were registered when we lived in the house, I phoned them on a monthly basis and asked them to send my prescription to a pharmacy near to where we are at any given point in time. So touch wood, that is working okay so far. Just explain, the situation, and give them the full address of where I need it to go to. And you collected my latest one this morning, didn't you?
I did.
So it works out quite well. So there are ways and means of still living a normal life and getting your prescriptions and what have you whilst you're travelling on the waterways. And mail, anything important, we have delivered to my parents, and we'll every now and then collect the mail. In fact, I say every now and then. That was the plans, but given the region that we're stuck on the water with at the moment, it's not too far from my parents. So we've only ever been sort of a short 30-minute at the most drive away from them. So we've been
Save our water. We've used and abused their shower and their washing machine.
thanks, Mum. Thanks, Dad. So we've been using their services, and the washing machine occasionally. But yeah, the shower. It's nice to have. You're not watching
Not
how much
rushed.
water you're using. But so yes, there are means and ways. So if we know we are going there, I'll take a towel and some toiletry products with us, and then we get ourselves sorted. Right, we are going now. I feel a rum and coke or something coming up. So have a good rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever time of day it is you're watching this. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe below. It is free to subscribe, and it does really help our channel. And it's just lovely for us to see that people are enjoying our waffle. Are interested in what we might have to say and share as we continue our journey. So thank you for watching, and we'll speak to you very soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.